This is the Fujinon XF 50mm f2.RWR lens, which is the brand of Fujifilm, the lenses brand. I'm going to mount it to the Fujifilm X Pro 2 for these tests, and the short answer is this combination is brilliant. You get a little cover over the top of that as well for if you're out in the rain. It's weather sealed. So my recommendation, it's a buy. If you've got the money to buy something like this, you should buy it because the results are fantastic. That's the short answer. Now for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about it, stick around and we'll get into the details. But I'm very impressed with this little lens. You can do just about everything you want, from portraiture to landscapes, street photography and everything in between. Now when I first got this camera, which was a couple of months ago, I wanted to know how easy it is to use, you know, like from someone coming straight to it new. So I didn't bother looking at I did look at the handbook that comes with it, and I just thought that's just gibberish, just a load of gibberish to me. So I wanted to know how I could get on with it without knowing anything really. And at first it's a bit daunting, just this lens alone. Let's have a look at this lens. There's a nifty 50 from a Canon, right? There's a Canon nifty 50. It's a prime lens. It's just a prime lens. Very, very good. Cheap as chips. This thing from Fujikon, it's what they call a mid telephoto lens, because inside here you've got lenses that actually move back and forth. So you think, well, okay, well, what's the point of that? And that's what I thought. What's the point of that? If it's supposed to be a prime lens, it's not a prime lens if it's got a telephoto element to it. But it's very specific. I'm not going to get into all the technicalities, but I'll leave the technical details down below for those people who are interested in that kind of thing. Okay, so what do all those letters and numbers mean on the lens? Because it's a bit of a mouthful when you try to say that all in one go. The R means the aperture ring. That ring there. That's the R. The WR means it's weather resistant. That means you can film this out in like light rain and you won't damage the camera. Obviously try it as soon as you can, but it's weather resistant, same as the body, which is also good. 46 means it takes a 46mm filter on there, unusual size, but you can put filters on like ND filters, you know, to, if it's a bright day, you can stop down the light coming into the sensor. Okay, it's a mirrorless camera, obviously, which means there's no mirror. It's just a sensor, right? 24 megapixel sensor, and it's pretty good. Actually, it's better than pretty good. It's freaking amazing. On the camera body itself, this is what struck me. You've got this aperture thing, right? You can hear it. And I have it set to auto, but I thought I'll just do some test shots with these different apertures. I thought I'll do some test shots with these different apertures and see what happens. And basically what that does, it increases or decreases the level of bokeh in your photographs. Because the idea of this whole thing is to show you that anybody can use these kind of cameras. You don't have to be a photographer to get good results. If you don't know what bokeh is, it's that area behind the subject or in the front of the subject that's out of focus, so that the person or the thing that you're photographing is clearly visible. For example, I'm shooting on my Canon 70D at the moment with a 10-20mm lens. If I put that in front of me, you'll see that the camera focuses on whatever's in front. I've got it on face tracking mode at the moment, so it's constantly trying to get my face. But if I put something in front of my face, it will focus on that, and I'll be slightly blurred out in the background. That's bokeh, and it can look very nice, can have a very good effect. So the object of this exercise was to purely see how intuitive this X series system is. Can someone just pick it up and start shooting good photographs with no photographic skill or knowledge or anything like that? Obviously photographic skill comes to the idea of composition. That's a whole different ball game altogether. But how easy is this to use as a camera system? Does it work? Does it work as a camera? Is it something that someone could pick up and just actually use? I think so. So it seems okay to me. Now, the other thing, the difference between this little Canon Nifty 50 and this 50mm from Fujifilm, the big difference, obviously the quality of this lens is very, very good. But this, you can pick these lenses up, these Canon lenses, for like cheap money. If you go to an old junk shop or a thrift store, you may be able to get one for 10 bucks, 20 bucks. You go to a used camera store, you might pay 20, 30 bucks for one of these little cameras, and they are really, really good. This, I think new, these are about £400, $450. But even used ones are going to be really expensive. So unless you can justify to yourself the added expense, they do create good images. But unless you can justify the added expense, that's something you'll have to figure out. But it does produce good results. I'm going to photograph this thing, and I'm going to adjust those aperture rings to show you the bokeh on this thing. I've never seen that aperture ring on a lens in a modern camera. But then I haven't got hundreds of cameras. I've got about half a dozen cameras, but I haven't got hundreds of cameras. But that, to me, reminds me of something from way, way back, years ago. And that's the whole point about this. The whole system is supposed to look retro. The idea of this thing is that you can, it's very lightweight. It doesn't weigh a lot. You can walk around with this all day long. And that little telephoto thing, that's what got me interested. If you can hear noises, I'm living on a farm and there's tractors going by. It's potato harvest time, it's October. So this bokeh business, right? I'm going to take this photograph. This is on 16. And what that means is the things that are in the distance come into focus. And put it down to 2. And you see the things in the background are more blurred. So it's just a technique for blurring backgrounds or foregrounds. God, the noise there is ridiculous. What's going on? Let me go and have a look. This is where I live. I'm in the middle of nowhere. That's our house. And I love it. This is Fenland in Cambridgeshire. It's flat as a pancake and you get huge skies. It reminds me a bit of the Midwest in America. You know, those big open plains, the prairies. We've got the harvest going on today. We've got all the guys out in the fields. And there's a 135mm lens there. But those guys are about half a mile away from me. As I post this video, I'm approaching 900 subscribers. Now, I know a lot of you, like me as well, we watch YouTube on the big TV or when we're out, something like that. Not necessarily logged in. But if you would do me the favour of liking this video, that sends a signal to YouTube that people like this video and maybe they should share it with other people. So likes are very important. I don't think everyone really explains that. You're not just liking the video, you're saying, okay, this video had something useful to say, and so I liked it. It was informative or that kind of stuff, or entertaining. I don't know how entertaining it is, but hopefully it's informative and it gives you some clue about something like this. If you're thinking about buying something like this, was it helpful? Did it help? And if it did, give it a like. If you like this video, I'll do some more videos on this particular model because it has got a lot to offer. And if you've got one of these and it's sitting in the drawer somewhere and you're thinking, God, I don't know what to do with that, let me know and I'll do some more videos on it because it is quite simple to use. And all those dials and knobs and buttons, they freak people out. But they're quite simple. But I'm using it in fully automatic mode all the time and it's giving great results. I haven't done anything with the ISO or the aperture or anything like that, apart from the thing that we just did. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's good. I've got a lot more that I could tell you about this camera, and if you're interested, let me know and I'll do some more videos on it. That's all I've got for you today. I'll see you next time. Bye now. My videos are only as long as they need to be. I don't pad them out with nonsense.